I've been on YouTube for 10 years and I've never had over 1,000 subscribers. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. If you're new here, my name's Yawelkys. Welcome or welcome back. As you can see in the title, I've been seeing this little trend going around YouTube, and I'm just like, you know what? Who better than me than to make this exact video? Because I have literally been on YouTube for the past 10 years and I have never had over 1,000 subscribers. Please go ahead, grab your coffee, grab your tea, sit down and just have a little chit chat with me as I talk to you guys about why I still do this. So when you hear 10 years, that's like technically something that's completely unheard of when it comes to this platform. When you hear a lot of people talk about their success stories here on YouTube, you hear a lot of people say, well, I've been on YouTube for this many years. Sometimes people blow up in about a year. A lot of people have been on YouTube for many, many years just grinding it out, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say more than 10 years. So when I was growing up, I moved around quite often. I have moved a total of 30 plus times in my lifetime. So growing up, I never really had a stable place to live. I was always constantly moving. I was constantly the new student at school. Every single year, I was switching neighborhoods, new schools. I also come from a very underprivileged background. I'm a first generation American. I was the first person in my family to be born in America. I was a kid knowing that I come from such an underprivileged background. I'm the first generation American. I'm the first person in my family to be an American. I knew that there was something from the moment that I was a kid that I was meant to do here. And I knew that I had to be a leader somehow, some way. From the moment that I was a little girl, that I just always wanted to be a part of just show business, entertainment, and especially if it came down to relating with beauty, fashion, whatever the case may be, right? Computers were first coming out. You know, I come from a generation where we didn't have phones growing up. We didn't have computers growing up. I think I got my first computer when I was 14 years old. I was an only child at the time. I would just come home after school and I would just sit down on YouTube and just watch tutorials on hair videos, makeup, learning how to curl my hair, things like that. I think 2 years into me discovering what YouTube was and YouTube just getting a little bit more popular, I was maybe 16 years old. I discovered Bethany Moda. And I come from that generation of people who literally grew up on Bethany Moda, Jackie Aina, Jaclyn Hill. And I remember just knowing that I moved around so many times throughout my life, never really having a stable place to live, never really having a bedroom to decorate. When I was a kid, I would have bedrooms here and there, but not all the time. It wasn't something that was consistent. So I always knew that I had dreams of wanting to just live a bigger life than what I was living. I remember just being able to go on YouTube and being able to just escape from my reality. I was going to school at a predominantly white school as well, where I didn't have the resources that these students had. I was also one of the only people of color in my classroom. I remember just going through those stages in life and understanding that like there was something about me in the world that was different, but that I wasn't going to let those limiting beliefs define me. I just remember understanding that I never wanted to go the traditional route as far as just getting a degree, getting a traditional job, because I understood that doing traditional things was going to get you traditional results. And till this day, I've still been stubborn in that belief. And that's the reason why, even though this channel has not worked out, I continue to push and just do the things that make me happy in life, because I think that's the ultimate importance that satisfies me. So as YouTube progressed and the years passed on, we started to learn more about what YouTube can bring and the YouTube business could bring. I was working in Times Square and Bethany Moda was getting a huge brand deal in, I believe, Aeropostale. And I worked across from Aeropostale at Forever 21. And I just remember going to work when I was 18 years old, and I still had dreams of, wanting to just have this big life of just having a house with more than 5 bedrooms, having just to work with big brands, and always just keeping that dream alive. I would pass by Times Square every single day and I would say, one day I'm going to get my face up there in one of those posters. One day my face will be up there. One day my brand will be up there. One day my thing will be up there. And I just remember just like never losing that faith. 2 of my favorite YouTubers walked into Forever 21 and I was so excited that I literally was seeing 2 of my favorite YouTubers right in front of me. Like 2 young girls at the time literally were no less than 2-3 years older than me, just creating just a life for themselves, being in Times Square, spending money, having brand deals. I was like, yo, that's amazing. So I remember walking up to Lauren Elizabeth at the time. I feel like that was one of the turning moments for me that made me realize that I really wanted to create these YouTube videos. The first time that I ever uploaded a YouTube video was 18 years old. The first time that I had ever tried to record a YouTube video, I was 16 years old, and I still have files when I was 16 in my email, which is so crazy because I just recently discovered them. And I remember just uploading my first YouTube video and just being so proud of myself, just being so happy. And then a few months later, Cardi B walks in to Forever 21. Yeah, Cardi B walks in to our Forever 21, and I remember having a conversation with her. I think around this time, Cardi B probably had like 24K on Instagram, and she was blowing up in the city. So I definitely knew of her. So when she walked into our store, she was on the phone and she was really loud. And I was like, wow, you really are loud, aren't you? And she was like, yes, I am. It was just like a friendly, yes, I am. From then on, I literally just like knew that she had something. I remember telling my friend at the time about Cardi B, who I'm also going to talk about in a few seconds, who has also now become an extremely successful, and just things have just transpired in my life that are just incredibly insane. So this is why I'm saying this is one of the most important videos I have ever filmed on my channel, because to me, this is my most important journey as far as like where I am. So yeah, I remember meeting Cardi B. I just knew that she was just like gonna blow up. A few months later, I speak to one of my friends and I tell them, hey, listen, she's gonna blow up. She's gonna blow up. She's gonna blow up. This is her first mixtape. She's gonna blow up. And it happened exactly that way. Right now, this exact same friend has also blown up in the music business. So shortly after that, I think I had just finished my first semester of college. I pretty much had a stable job. I had my schedule down packed. I was on my grind as a 19-year-old girl. And I was feeling really proud of myself until my mom got the bright idea that she just wanted to move to another state. Now, like I said, this is an ongoing theme in my life. I've moved so many different times, and this was just no different. So I followed along and I moved with my mom to another state. Because I had just moved to another state, I had to wait around 6 months in order for me to get financial aid for the school that I wanted to go to. So around the 6-month mark, my mom comes up with another bright idea and she says, you know what? I think I should move to another state. And I was like, you know what? I'm not moving with you. I had waited 6 months in order for me to get this financial aid. I'm gonna stay here. I have my cousins here. I have my friends here. I'm staying here. you can go ahead and go to another state if you want to. This was the first time I had ever sensed any type of independence and freedom on my own. And I was 18 and finally paying rent on my own. I grew up with a lot of my cousins, and at the time, I was one of the first few people to end up doing that at that time and at that age. You know, I felt like the sense of like big boss energy. I was like that girl. Like I was out here getting money, paying my own rent. I was out here just having the freedom and just the time of my life. And that's until I wasn't. So I remember needing a car to get back and forth from work. You know, I was 18. I didn't know how to make decisions at the time. I didn't know what I had to do in order for me to just like get a car. Like I'm learning the ropes by myself about credit, about just so many things that nobody's ever taught me. In fact, I'm the person translating all documents. You know, I'm learning all these things on my own. I wasn't making the smartest decisions, and I decided that because I didn't have a car, that I would move back with my mom to New York City. The craziest thing about this is the fact that not only was 6 months prior to my mom living now in New York City, she was in Pennsylvania after had moving out of Massachusetts to Pennsylvania 6 months after. But 6 months after she was living in Pennsylvania, she was moving to New York. What did I do? I said, you know what? My mom has always held it down for me. Why not just go live with my mom? Big freaking mistake. I mean, after a year of pretty much me having this complete independence and me being able to come home at whatever time I felt like, I had to come home to my mom's house and follow rules and come home at a certain time. Once I had that sense of independence, I just didn't want to give it back. I mean, I graduated high school. I was doing well at work. I didn't see why there was a need for me to just have all of these rules over me. It was a time where my mom and I were just having a very just rocky relationship. And I remember her. And then we got to the point where she basically told me 2 women cannot live together. So you need to find your way. Try to find a place here in New York City, pack up all your stuff, and I'll drop you off anywhere you want. And I ended up being in pretty much a New York City shelter full of men. And I stayed there for 3 days. After that, I remember calling one of my best friends from high school and calling her and letting her know that if there was a way that I could stay with her, the place that I was staying at was telling me that it was really unsafe for me to stay there. I pretty much started couch surfing and like just trying to find a place to stay. So I did that for a lot of my late teens and early 20s. And I remember living for 3 years in a hoarded house. I was going through so much at the time. I was feeling so defeated with life. I was so crushed with spirit. I just felt so unlucky in life until I hit a spiritual awakening. And that's during the time where my love for YouTube pretty much came back. And I started uploading YouTube during that time, which was a really rough time during my life, especially because my environment was just making me sick mentally. And I remember having a spiritual awakening there, just remembering why I wanted to create YouTube videos. So I was really happy just vlogging and taking memories of my life, and I was never really super successful at it. I probably only got a couple thousand views in those videos. Maybe the best videos got like 1 to 2K views, but it was something that always just made me happy. When I hit that spiritual awakening, I remember just understanding what I didn't understand. A few years prior to that, I watched the documentary The Secret. So I knew a little bit about manifestation, but it wasn't until then that I really understood what it meant. I actually started believing that good things could happen to me. So even though it was a really rough time in my life, I learned so much from it. So I remember at that time, the type of people that I would hang out with, even though they weren't the best influence, I believe now for me, I hung around a lot of people who wanted to make music, who wanted to create videos, who wanted to take pictures, create designs, graphic designing, clothing. It's New York City. Everybody thinks that they're going to be the next big thing, especially when you're early in your 20s and you're out here just trying to put your dreams and your creative ideas out there. During this time, this is when Brooklyn drill music really starts popping off. And for some reason, I find myself in these circles. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's literally, I feel like by chance, and it was meant to happen for me in my life. But I find myself all around this energy, not because I'm a social climber or I'm a clout chaser. Like literally, I've never been that type of person, but I feel like it was really meant to happen for me or whatever in my life. And I'm literally just this girl walking around with her little Sony camera vlogging, literally has no subscribers, has no clout, nobody cares for her, has no followers, nothing. Just walking around with this vlog camera. Like, who is she? Who is she? But I was around all of this energy and I was just soaking it up. So during this time, I would sit around rooms where I'm having conversations and we're just like, wouldn't it be great and amazing if we could just collaborate with this rapper and do a music video here and do this and do that. And all of a sudden, these ideas literally are manifesting right before our eyes. All of a sudden, people I know close to me are being called in for beats from literally the top famous rappers that are like popping off, which is insane. So we are just, it was during this time where I was starting to see, like, it's crazy how we were just having a conversation about this 2 weeks ago, and then 2 weeks later, it's happening right before our eyes. So I remember finding myself at the studio. It was like from one moment to the next. Like 2 weeks ago, I had no money to pay for a Metro card, and 2 weeks now later, I've been signed to a record deal. I'm a millionaire. I've moved my mom to a 3-story house. So you could just imagine seeing all of that in front of you, and you live in a hoarded house, and you don't even have enough money to get your own freaking apartment. You don't even have enough money to get yourself a car, to move yourself out of New York City. Imagine seeing all of that, watching someone who you really just hung out with 2 weeks ago now is a whole millionaire. I was really happy for him, and it was amazing that that was happening. But at the same time, I was really salty, not gonna lie. But I knew that my story couldn't end there. I was still and still am determined to get to the levels of achieving dreams that are just unthinkable, unimaginable, delusional as I think. And I just told myself that if I was able to attract people into my life that were able to do these things, then I could possibly end up being one of those people who could end up doing those things too. And I've never lost faith in that. So at this point, I'm getting pretty used to creating YouTube videos, but nothing ever really makes my channel blow up. I have no idea what discipline is. I thought somehow that if I uploaded videos here and there, then maybe one of them would have blown up. But I was wrong. Until this day, I'm still working on being disciplined, understanding what it means to be successful at this business. But somewhere during that time, I remember falling into a very deep depression. And again, I'm looking for a place to stay. Like I said, this is an ongoing thing for me. And it's been an ongoing thing for me, I guess, in my life's entirety. It was during this time where I rekindle with my then high school sweetheart. Things move on pretty quickly, and a few months in, we ended up moving in together. And I believe that less than a year in, I ended up getting pregnant. During my pregnancy, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. One of my biggest fears in life was to become a single mother. And not only to become a single mother, but it was to become a poor single mother. And I remember just having such a hard time just adjusting to my new life while I was pregnant. I just remember having that fear and just understanding that I had a generational curse of just so many women in my life. I mean, I don't want to get too personal. It's a very touchy and like personal topic for me. However, I come from a family of about 12 women. We all have a generational curse of just not staying with, the people that we have children with. I was very scared of that when I was pregnant. So I knew that I had a high percentage of becoming and staying a poor mom, having my baby growing and having this innate love for YouTube still. I remember the first video that I uploaded back was my birth vlog when I gave birth to my son. From then on, I've just been a lot more comfortable with continuing to upload on here and sharing my journey. TikTok and YouTube was just popping off a lot with the whole mom content. And I was just thrilled and I was just so happy to be able to just like share my journey and be a part of that as well. So I got really excited again about just uploading and just wanting to share my journey with my family and seeing other moms being able to do this and seeing that the industry of YouTube has changed so much. It started with us watching tutorials of makeup and hair videos, room tours, to now moms are able to make content and make millions of dollars, thousands of dollars a month. So because I've already been trauma bonded and I've tried to create content on YouTube since I was 16 years old. First time uploading on YouTube was 18. There was a lot of trial and error. There is a lot of trial and error still to this day. I've trauma bonded a lot with this platform. And it actually taught me so much about myself. The algorithm changes all the time, but people's values never do. It's taught me that in order for me to step into this role, I've needed to be so sure of myself while stepping into this big identity, and I need to step into it daily. I know that getting to the place that I want to be in life takes a lot of sacrifice. So even though I've seen people blow up in a year, I know that there's always an exception to the rule, and I understand that getting to the top place in life takes a lot. I know that if God has made this journey for me a lot slower than I thought it would have been, I understand that if I still have not seen any fruits from what I've planted, I know that seeds produce fruits, and I just have to keep on watering the plant. A few years ago, I was couch surfing, living in the projects, hanging out with people who could have never led me to be the type of parent that I am, being on the path of elevation to where I live in the suburbs, 20 minutes from mansions, an apartment with luxury amenities. And I say luxury quote unquote because my dreams are so big that even things like this are just not big enough for me. But people like me never make it out of the projects. I knew nothing about business, and somehow YouTube has taught me a thing or two about business. I failed so much and I've taken so many losses, but I've taken them as lessons, and it helps me live out my fantasy. I dress up, I think, I act like the person that I want to be because of this platform. I love the competition that it brings. I love being the underdog and understanding that if the only way that being the underdog is going up, that's just how I see it. I love the possibility of it being a story to tell. I love that it's built my character so much and it's helped me deal with rejection. It just tells me that I'm going to have to deal with rejection a lot more, but just on a bigger scale. I love that I can connect with people, and the few people who do watch, I love the fact that could be even 100 of us in one room, and at least we get to relate on a topic. And it's a very give and receive thing that I get from this. I think that the more that I give to this platform and the more that I just put my ideas out there, the more I receive from the world. And I've just been seeing so much more evidence of that. And I know that it's possible, because if I see it that it's possible for other people to literally come from the places that I've come from, become millionaires. I feel that there's a possibility out there in the world that I could do it too. And I saw people literally grind their way up from the bottom, have nothing in their bank accounts, and still make it somewhere in life. And I always keep that faith. I love the fact that it's an outlet for me, and it gives me a chance to dump all of me, the weird, the all unrelated, and there's a possibility that somebody down in India could understand and relate to me. I also love the fact that it's challenging. Apparently only 10% of YouTube channels have over 1,000 subscribers. And I love the fact that it's something that I'm able to work on. It's kind of like a formula that I have to solve. And it gives me a sense of just figuring it out, something to do. And it's so much fun for me. So I think we've had a very long chat as to why I make videos that nobody else watches. So if you're a nobody and you watched all the way to the end, don't forget to subscribe and support your girl. We're trying to get this platform to over 1K and monetize this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.